In today's video, we're talking about holiday weight gain. What's up YouTube? Welcome to the video. My name is Tyler, also known as the Fit Chemist, and I help young men take control of their lives by taking control of their fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle habits so that ultimately we can lead healthier and happier lives. So if you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing. Turn those notification bells on so you don't miss when I post new videos. And if you're returning, welcome back. I'm so glad that you are here. I sincerely hope that everybody has been enjoying this fall weather. So whether you've gone apple picking or made some apple cider or done pumpkin carving or Halloween and trick-or-treating, whatever it is, I hope you're enjoying it. But as this fall weather starts to transition into winter, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's already November, and that means that Thanksgiving is right around the corner. And unfortunately, it's usually this time of year where the anxiety about the holiday weight gain starts to set in. It starts with Thanksgiving dinner. Let's say you pig out that day and you totally overeat, and at the end of that day, nobody else wants to take the leftovers home, so you get stuck with them. Like, why doesn't anybody else want to take these home? And why is it always you that gets sent home with them? Then after that, it's time to put up the Christmas tree, and you're gonna start eating Christmas sweets, and then maybe you bake some Christmas cookies, and you gotta enjoy those too. And then it's Christmas dinner, and then after that, maybe you have a New Year's feast, and then you wake up in January, and all of a sudden, you're 5 to 10 pounds heavier. Well, I'm here to tell you that you need to relax. Everything is going to be okay. More specifically, I want to talk about the first event in that series of events, and that is the Thanksgiving dinner. And I want to highlight that you probably didn't gain as much weight as you think you did. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at what happens after that Thanksgiving meal, why the scale goes up, and then we're going to look at some scientific studies that show you didn't actually gain that much fat. Before we get into it, I do want to say that if you are looking for some actionable steps on how to help with eating around the holidays, I did film a video for this around the 4th of July, so I'll put that thumbnail over here and I'll link that somewhere up here and you can go ahead and check that out. I also thought it would be fun to share some quick fun facts about Thanksgiving before we get into the actual video, so I'm just going to go ahead and rattle those off real quick. But the first one is that back in 1621, when we had the first ever Thanksgiving, there was actually no record of a turkey being served. It was more likely that they were eating ducks or geese.
I am going to roast this goose and prepare it with a wild rice dressing.
Each year, it's estimated that 46 million turkeys are cooked. That is a mind-boggling number. And besides that, on average for each of those Thanksgiving days, people typically consume around 4,500 calories, which is a lot of calories. Another one is that the company Butterball that actually sells the turkeys has a hotline specifically dedicated to how to cook the turkey, and they get about 100,000 phone calls every year on Thanksgiving. And then the last one is something that people probably don't realize, but Black Friday is actually the busiest day in the year for plumbers. Wonder why. All right, enough of the fun facts. Let's get into the video. So we know that 1 pound of fat is roughly equivalent to 3,500 calories, and the average BMR, the basal metabolic rate, or how many calories it takes to sustain life, is roughly around 1,600 calories. So if we add both of those together, that means that we would have to eat around 5,100 calories in that day of Thanksgiving dinner to gain 1 pound of fat. And based on our fun facts, we know that people typically consume about 4,500 calories on Thanksgiving Day, which is quite close to the 5,100. But then why do we wake up 5 pounds heavier the next day? What's actually going on when we consume that large meal, and why is the scale weight going up? So the first reason is going to be that all that food is still sitting in your stomach. If you have not gone to the bathroom and cleared that food out, obviously you're going to weigh heavier. I want you to do this experiment for me. Go into the kitchen. If you got a potato or a sweet potato or an apple or whatever it is, grab whatever food item it is, go onto the scale, weigh yourself while you're not holding that food item, grab the food item, and then weigh yourself again. Did you gain weight? Yes. Did you gain fat? No. I feel like that proves my point. Just because you have food sitting in your stomach and your scale weight went up, that does not equate to fat gain. The second reason is because of our carbohydrate intake. We scarf down carbs on Thanksgiving like it is our job. And what happens is that those carbs get converted into glycogen to get stored in our body. And for every 1 gram of glycogen that gets stored, it's going to store up to 4 grams of water with it. So what that means is that if you eat 400 grams of carbohydrate, you can store 1,600 grams of water, which is 2 kilos or about 4 pounds. Another reason is because of your sodium intake. So your body has to maintain a proper ratio of sodium to water in your cells. So when you intake more sodium, which oftentimes you're going to be doing on Thanksgiving, your body's also going to hold on to more water, just like it does when you consume those carbohydrates. I want to make it clear here, I'm not saying that if you overeat on Thanksgiving that you are not going to gain fat. If you put yourself in a calorie surplus, you are going to gain some fat. That's just how it works. But what I'm trying to do is highlight the fact that the scale weight jumps up a ton, and that is not all because of fat gain. We'll get into what the science says about this in just 1 second, but my question of the day for you guys is, what is your most and least favorite Thanksgiving dish? One of my grandmas makes the meanest sweet potato casserole with this orange marmalade and candied pecans and brown sugar. Oh, it is to die for. My dad also makes these candied green beans with bacon, and can't forget about the stuffing, right? But my absolute least favorite, it's going to be cranberry sauce. I don't know how anybody likes it, especially the canned stuff. You watch it jiggle out as you get it out of the can. No, thank you. But let me know what yours are down in the comments below. And with that, let's get back into it. We went through a couple of reasons of why the scale weight actually goes up and that it's not actually all fat gain. But is there any scientific truth to this, and what does the literature have to say about it? Well, we're going to look at 3 studies to answer that question. The first one being done by Horton and coworkers in 1995. So in this study, they took 16 people and they gave them 150% of their TDEE. So that's basically 50% over their maintenance calories, or 1.5 times what their maintenance calories are. And that ended up being about 1,400 extra calories per day. After 2 weeks of consistently overeating, the subjects in this study ended up gaining 6 pounds total. Only 3 of those pounds were actually fat mass. And if we divide that by 14, that is just over 0.2 pounds per day. So that just goes to show you that if you do overeat on Thanksgiving, you are likely only going to gain about 0.2 pounds of actual fat mass. The next study I want to highlight was done by Johansson and coworkers in 2014. And what they did in this study was that they took 29 young men and they fed them 140% of their maintenance calories, so 40% extra calories over a period of 8 weeks. After the 8 weeks of this study, the subjects on average gained about 17 pounds, 9 pounds of which were actually fat. So if we go ahead and divide that by 56, because it was 56 days, that comes out to be just under 0.2 pounds of fat per day. And again, this is with consistent overeating each and every day, not just one meal. One thing to point out with this study is that they did actually give a macronutrient breakdown, and they said it was 15% from protein. So I'm kind of curious to see what that weight gain and the distribution of the weight gain would have been had they had a higher protein intake, somewhere around 30 to 35%. So I would be interested in knowing this, because I would guess that with a higher protein intake, they would actually see a reduced amount of fat mass put on, and instead see an increase in their lean body mass or their muscle mass. But either way, both of these studies show that over that long-term period, only about 50% of the weight that they did put on was fat. So does that mean that if you wake up 5 pounds heavier the day after Thanksgiving, that you put 2.5 pounds of fat on? No, as we saw in both of those studies, they actually gained about 0.2 pounds of fat per day. And then the third study that I want to highlight was done by Ott and coworkers in 2018, and they took 24 young men and they fed them 1,000 extra calories per day from heavy whipping cream. Yes, you heard that right. Heavy whipping cream. This study was carried out over a period of 7 days, and on average, those men ended up gaining about 2 pounds, which comes out to be about 0.3 pounds per day, which is slightly higher than the previous 2 studies, but still, that is absolutely crazy to think about, that they were literally consuming 1,000 calories from heavy whipping cream, and they only put on 0.3 pounds of fat per day. So hopefully after watching this video, you realize there's a couple of main takeaways. The first one being that that weight that you see on the scale that goes up is not actually because of fat mass, but it's more likely water and glycogen being stored on your body, or you just haven't cleared out that food yet. And the second main takeaway is that the real enemy to be concerned with here is the continuous overeating. If you overeat on Thanksgiving, it's not the end of the world, but what most people typically do is they overeat on Thanksgiving, then they overeat on the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that, and then they keep doing that all the way until it's New Year's and they have to set up their New Year's resolution, and that's when they actually did put on the 10 pounds of weight. So don't do that. So please enjoy yourself on Thanksgiving, enjoy the food, enjoy spending time with friends and family and creating some memories. And if you do overeat, just get back on track the next day. That's all you have to do. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below. And again, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Turn those notification bells on because I post new videos every single Friday and you do not want to miss when they go live. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.